Welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast, featuring inspiring interviews with Etsy shop owners, hosted by Ijama Elazu.
Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama, and I thank you for joining me for another episode. This week, my guest is Sarah, and Sarah runs the Etsy shop Sarah Cason Designs. And I'm really excited to talk to Sarah because she's done a lot in just the space of 2 months of having her Etsy shop open. And so we're going to be talking about just some tactics that she's developed for building out her shop and getting sales quickly or early on. So Sarah, thank you so much for being my guest and welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be able to be here and share with you.
Thank you. So before we start, can you tell us a little bit about yourself first?
I can. So my name is Sarah, and I'm 27 years old. I'm originally from Arizona, but I've actually been living in Atlanta, Georgia for about 2 years now. Oh. And I've been married for almost 2 years to my husband, Zach. And we don't have any kids yet, but in the near future, maybe, but no kids yet. So I have a lot of just free time to be able to devote towards my Etsy shop and just life. And I've loved being creative all my life. It's looked different in different seasons. I've done all different kinds of things. But the main thing that I've settled on and that my Etsy shop is focused on is original hand lettering and calligraphy. So that's really my passion right now, what I love.
And that's what you're doing now in your Etsy shop.
It is.
Excellent. One of the things I like is that you really tried your hand at lots of different crafts. You've done scrapbooking, you've made cards, you've done jewelry, painting, drawing, everything. But I was really impressed because you've done Murals Internationally.
Yes. That was, I took an 11-month missions trip to 11 different countries. Wow. And in 5 of those countries, I was able to paint murals. And that was it was such a blessing to me to be able to do that and to think that my art is around the world. So it was really neat just to partner with those local places and just see what they had in mind and what I could bless them with. So that was definitely a really special thing to be able to do.
And when you did it, did you know that you were going to be painting murals, or was it just something when you were there you offered to do?
So I actually didn't know that I would be doing the murals originally. The first 3 months that I was traveling, I didn't do any painting at all. I actually didn't bring any kind of art supplies or anything with me, which looking back, I wish I would have. But when I got to the Philippines, they had a ministry for kids and they wanted to get something painted on the wall, and the people that I was with knew that I loved art, and so they're like, hey, why don't you do it? So I was like, okay. So from there I did 2 murals there, and then when we went to other places, the people that I was with would tell other people, and other people just asked like, well, can you do something for us? And so I'm like, sure. So it was just something that just kind of continued as we went along, and I loved it. I definitely used different supplies than I've ever used before, just because there's just different things available where we were, but it all worked out and it was really fun.
You literally had to get creative, right?
Oh yeah. Yes. I don't even know what some of the things I used were. I'm just like, well, it'll paint on the wall, so.
Nice.
Yes.
Now, when did you first discover Etsy?
I was trying to think about that, and I don't actually know when I did. I know it was a while back. Probably, I know it was before 2010, because people had told me, I think it was around the time when I was making cards or making jewelry, because people were like, oh, you should sell these on Etsy. And I'm like, well, what is that? And I looked it up, and of course I loved it because I love handmade things, but I never really got into setting up my own shop. It's been on the bucket list for a while, but I just never pulled the trigger until this year, so.
What inspired you to actually open your shop eventually?
Well, this year, at the beginning of the year, I wanted to open my shop, and I think I created my account in I don't even know when it was, but I made my shop in March of this year, and I had a couple pieces, and so I was like, well, I'll just put them up and just see. And so I think it was in March of this year that I did that. And of course, like, I put like, I think 5 things up. The pictures were awful. And of course, nothing happened and I didn't do anything with it. They just kind of sat there. And of course, I still did art at home, but I just had no idea how to do anything on Etsy, and I didn't have any kind of business know-how. And so, but in June, like throughout this year, I've been learning just a lot on my own about running a business, about personal development, and just I've continued my art through that. And art has always been something that I'm just super passionate about, and I've always wanted to make that a part of my living. And so I think it was in May of this year, I had really started sharing more on social media about my art. And people are asking more about it. And a lot of people were asking me, can you do this for me? Can you do this? I'm like, well, I might as well just open an Etsy shop again. And so from there, I decided to completely relaunch my Etsy shop. I put in all the work for it. I did more groundwork, research. And I set a whole launch date, and I kind of built up to that, which I think also really helped me with what has happened so far in my shop. So, yeah.
Wow. So the first 5 items that you put in your shop, were they what you're selling now, or did you start off with something else?
They are actually. They were hand-lettered pieces. They were kind of a little bit of a different style. I did a lot in colored pencil, and I did more... it was more like bold fonts instead of calligraphy, which is more of my style. Now I kind of mix in some of that now, but it's a different style. So.
Okay. And tell us specifically what it is you sell in your Etsy shop today.
So I would describe it more as modern calligraphy. And they're pieces that I have a lot of like scripture quotes. I have pieces for nurseries, pieces for weddings. I'm also doing like wedding envelopes and, table settings, place card settings, pretty much anything like different quotes that I've come across and different quotes that people have told me that it really inspires them and encourages them. And so I make them into artwork and I sell them.
Nice. So, with calligraphy and with any craft, but we're talking about calligraphy and hand lettering now, everything you do is custom ordered. Well, I shouldn't say custom ordered, but when you get the order, you make it. How long typically does it take you to create one item?
It depends on the piece. It depends on how big it is and how much detail is going into it. If it's a smaller piece, it doesn't take that long. I really, like a lot of times I'll draft out my work in pencil first and then go over it. So that way I'm not having to redo everything. So that helps in the process too, because at the beginning I was just like, I'm just going to go with I'm just not going to put my pencil down. And
let's just freestyle it.
Yes. So, I mean, it just depends. It could take anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour, just depending on the piece. So.
And are you self-taught?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. I would love to take classes, but as of now, I mean, there's so many resources to learn from, and I love just learning anything I can. So I just kind of dabble as I go.
Okay. So I like that when you first opened up your shop, it was all, well, what's the word? Flippant, I guess, in a way.
Yes.
And then you came back with purpose and you were focused on making it successful, and you've seen the difference.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah. And so I think sometimes we do that. You know how you get really excited about something and you're just like, I'm just going to do it. And you just jump in, and then reality hits you and you're like, wait, whoa, people don't love this.
Yes.
So when you came back the second time, how was your motivation different the second time around than it was the first time? Because the end purpose, the end goal was to sell, right? But something was different the second time. What was it?
I think this time I really came at it as like, I want to make this work. You know, looking in the long term, this is something that I love to do. I've always loved to be creative, and it's something that I want to continue, and I would love to build into my full-time work. And, you know, looking down the road to when my husband and I have kids, I would love to be able to do this and stay at home with them too. So I think that was a big motivation, just being like, okay, like if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I'm not just going to, leave it up to people randomly finding me on Etsy, which I mean, I had no idea what SEO was. I had no idea about anything in March. And so when I went into the relaunch, I just completely redid everything, and it's made a huge difference.
Wow. Do you remember after the relaunch, do you remember how soon after you launched it, you got your first sale?
I actually had a sale before I officially launched, and it was from somebody I didn't even know. And I was like,
it wasn't your mom?
No, it wasn't. And I was like, someone's buying this for me and I don't know them. It was just such a funny moment. I was like, well, okay. Cause I hadn't put the link out. I had started uploading all my pictures and trying to do the listings and everything. And, I'd done that, but I hadn't officially sent out my link to people that were following, the launch. And so I was like, well, I guess this person's getting in on it first. So it was definitely exciting. And then after I launched, gosh, it was pretty soon after, because I'm trying to think of what the date actually was, but it was pretty soon after I launched, because I had told people, like, this is when I'm launching, go check this out and stuff. So probably within the week that I launched, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Now, how did you get the idea to build up buzz before you opened up?
That's a good question. I think from just other podcasts and personal development stuff I'd learned about, just hearing about, and not even in Etsy kind of businesses, but just business in general.
Yeah.
Just hearing about people building up anticipation for, like launches, even for companies that have been established, but if they're launching a new product. And so I was like, well, I wonder if that would work for this. And so I was like, well, I can't lose anything if, if I try. So decided to just kind of go that route instead of just kind of silently one day being like, here's my Etsy shop, like the first time, build up anticipation, because people had seen the pictures that I'd been posting before. And so I was like, well, if they're commenting on this now, why not let them know that this is coming? So that's what I did.
And what's your social media platform of preference?
Facebook and Instagram are my top two right now.
Okay.
Just because I've been around on those the longest. I just opened a Twitter account not long ago, but I'm still getting the hang of that. I feel like I'm so lost in that. I'm like, I don't know what to do in this. So it's a whole new world to me.
Yeah. Join the rest of us.
Yes.
So Facebook and Instagram. When you Facebook, I assume you first started out just with your personal page. It wasn't.
I was going to say, I actually still just have my personal page. I want to build a business page, but I have not gotten there yet. So that's also on the list. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
So that's good to know. So on Facebook, all the buzz that you were building and generating to people on Facebook is just through your personal page. So people who know you are connected with you some way.
Yep.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And then on Instagram, was that also, well, I guess everyone kind of just opens like a personal Instagram, but did you open it specifically around relaunching, or you were on Instagram first and then decided to use that as a platform?
I was on Instagram first, and so I just decided, I was like, well, I'm just going to share it on this too, because I've got a decent sized following. I think right now I'm out around 1,100 people, so it wasn't there at that point, but I was just like, I feel like Instagram is so visual, and so I think it works really well with Etsy Shop, just because I can show the pieces and people can see what they look like. So yeah, I'm
getting to really like Instagram a lot, more than Twitter. Because
I'm still trying to figure it out.
Well, Instagram has pictures, and you don't have to think too much. And if you like something, it's easy to just say, oh, I like that. And then find other things along that line that you like. But, okay. So that first person who bought something from you, was it through Facebook or Instagram, or did they just stumble on your Etsy shop before you had made your big reveal?
I think they just stumbled on me through Etsy. I'm not really sure.
Nice.
Yep.
Even more random. Okay.
I know. Yeah. It really was.
All right. So let's talk about how you manage your time and your typical day. What does it look like, a day in the life of Sarah Cason Designs?
Well, so I actually nanny a couple days a week. So the days that I'm not nannying, I can devote more time to my Etsy shop. But I'll typically do a little bit of work on my Etsy shop in the morning when I wake up. I'm a pretty early riser, and my husband likes to sleep in a little bit, so I take that time to just get some art stuff done. I'll check into teams, just check in on how everything's going, if I have any orders, respond to people. And then during the day, I just kind of fill orders. I work on new pieces. And then I try and break up different tasks throughout the week. So like on the weekends, it's really my time for photographing my pieces and listing them and, drafting listings. And then I just kind of can publish them throughout the week. So I try to do, I try to photograph and create drafts for listings about 7 at a time on the weekend, and then that way I can just kind of go throughout them through the week. And just kind of break it up that way. So I don't know if every day even looks the same, but right. Just run through those to-do lists and make sure that I'm getting in those daily things of, doing listings and checking in with teams and building relationships, following up with people, and that sort of thing. So, yeah.
But every day you're doing something related to your business.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Do you ever batch? I just read this article on the website, which I have to think of, Femtrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And I found it really interesting because the lady who wrote the article was explaining how she does her Etsy listings, and it's something I'm trying my hand out now. Is she batches? So she'll she'll do like a whole bunch of stuff, but then it depends on what you're selling. So for like what you're doing, I don't think it would work because you'd have to, because you write everything out and everything is different. But for her, it was a different product line. She sells vintage stuff. So she'll do all her photography in one day and then do all the listings and save them as drafts. But she'll do like them in batches of, 200 and then slowly, like every day, just post 3 to 5 a day so that each day your shop is getting refreshed. And I thought, why didn't I ever think of that before?
Yeah. So, I mean, I do that on a smaller scale. I definitely do not do 200 in a day.
Yeah, no, you couldn't.
Yeah. But my goal is definitely usually I draft about 7 to 8 pieces and photograph them, usually on the weekends, and then, create those listings. That way I can, list one new one a day. And then if I need to read whatever as well, I can. So, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I guess for me, it was such a novel idea. Like, I don't have to post everything as soon as I list them. I was like, okay, that does keep your shop fresh if you're just doing, okay.
Yep. Yeah. Well, for me too, it's like, it feels like listing takes the longest of anything. So anything I can do to just get it all done at once, I love.
Yeah. So when you're creating a new design and you have different categories, what's your inspiration behind a new product that you're making?
Oh man, so many things. I get so many ideas all the time. It's so bad. I have a running list and I'm constantly adding things to it. But I mean, it could be anything from going outside, taking a hike, a book I'm reading, a song. There's so many different things, or things that I use every day. And I'm like, how can I turn this into something that inspires someone else? Yeah. Like this fall, I'm going to be doing, journals, like decorating the front of journals with hand lettering for people. And then also in the fall, I'm hoping to do mugs as well. So, it's coming up to pumpkin spice season. So you got to be ready for that.
That's my favorite part of the fall is pumpkin spice. I love pumpkin spice cake.
Yes. So I would think just things like around the seasons, like for the summer, I loved doing like the different colored pieces, the gold, and I want to continue that too because I love color. But yeah, just so many things inspire me.
Okay. And actually, I want to talk about that because you have a gold series that you do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
do you come out with collections like that where you'll have like a special series, and do you have them for just a limited time and then you do a new one at different intervals of time? How does that work for you?
I haven't fully decided yet, but I think it might be something like that because with the watercolor and the gold, it's hard to replicate something that will come out like the picture looks,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like each piece is just so unique. So it might be something where once it sells out, I'll come out with a new one.
Okay.
I have a lot of different, ideas for different series that I want to do. So it probably will turn into something like that. So
Okay.
yeah.
Let's talk about pricing. How do you determine how much you're going to charge for a particular piece of artwork that you do?
Oh, well, I actually did. I'm a big fan of details. I know not all artistic and creative people, like the spreadsheets and that kind of stuff, like charts. But when I was thinking about pricing, the first time that I did this, I didn't really think about it. I was like, I hated pricing things, and people ask, well, how much do you want for this? I'm like, I don't know. I would give this to you for free, but it's not how that works.
But no, yes.
So this time I had to go into it with a different mindset. And so I literally listed out every single thing that I use for each piece, like the paper, the ink, the pens, all the stuff that I needed for shipping and packaging, and kind of broke it down into what that costs per piece, and what that looks like, just so I could get a good estimate of how much cost actually goes into one thing. Because I think in my mind, I wasn't really sure about how much it all actually costs together, because, if I buy a notepad of paper, there's 15 sheets, but then, in my mind, I don't always think like, okay, that costs this much per sheet.
Right.
So, it was really helpful to break that down, and I was able to factor that into the cost. And so with pricing, it definitely supplies went into it, and I generally don't charge shipping for my pieces right now and domestically, so I had to factor that shipping into it.
Okay.
And for Canada, it's different. I've only had to ship one piece to Canada, but just for domestic stuff, I don't charge for shipping, so I had to factor that into the cost. And then, of course, just my time for it as well. So
right.
I think those were the biggest factors.
Okay. Yeah. And I was waiting for you to say that. I was like,
yes.
Do you charge for your time or don't you?
Yes.
And there was in the Etsy Conversations Facebook group, there was a discussion about that, something along those lines, and about how much should you charge for your time? Because when you're doing artwork, it takes a lot of time, and you can't necessarily charge for all the time it took you, at least not upfront. And one thing somebody said, which I thought was good, was also in the beginning, you might have to consider not paying yourself as well while you're still trying to gain traction and gain momentum and all that. So, but at least, you get something.
Yes. Yeah. You definitely have to take it into consideration. Otherwise it's just like, I don't know. There's something valuable about getting something handmade. And so I think time definitely has to take a factor into that.
Yeah. So you've shipped to Canada. Do you ship internationally, outside of Canada as well? Or right now, are you just focusing on local US sales?
Right now, my focus is local in U.S. I haven't had anybody ask me internationally, so I think if someone did, I would definitely talk with them and, be like, this is what I can ship it for. It's just, I feel like it's so new. I'm still trying to figure it out, figure out what the shipping would even be and what I have to do. Like, I felt lost going to the post office being like, I need to ship this to Canada. What do I do? So, but it worked out fine. So.
Oh, good. Do you ever look at stores that sell similar items to what you sell, and what type of information do you look for? Do you just look for just to see how they're doing things differently from you?
I definitely did in the beginning, just to get an idea of how people price their work, especially for original artwork, because I feel like in in the niche that I am, there are a lot of really amazing calligraphers, but there's a lot of people that do print work. And mine is original. And so I just wanted to make sure that I was pricing it well and not underselling or overselling. So I definitely, when I was doing my research, I definitely looked at other shops just to get an idea. And also, I looked to see how I could tag my stuff for SEO as well, just to get ideas of different keywords to use. So I used that. And just for inspiration, I love looking at other calligraphers' work. It's just, everyone has just such, I feel like, their own unique style. Yeah. And it's always just so neat just to see people and their penmanship. And it's just such a lost art these days, which I'm so sad about. But that's why I love doing it, just to, bring that back. So it's just neat to see other people doing it.
Yeah. And it's relaxing.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah. And, with calligraphy or hand lettering, it's kind of hard. I know sometimes people get worried that people will steal their designs, and it does happen. Yeah. But when you're handwriting something, it's you. It's kind of hard to replicate or duplicate somebody else's, writing. So that's kind of the good thing for you.
Yes, for sure.
Let's talk about shop promotion, because like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, when Sarah opened her Etsy shop. So if you go to her Etsy shop, it's Sarah Cason Designs, and I will have links to it in the show notes for this episode. Don't be fooled. So she first opened her shop in March of 2014. But she wasn't selling back then. She actually really only did her relaunch in June of 2015. We're recording this episode at the beginning of August. And in 2 months, Sarah has figured out how to use social media to drive sales to her shops, to her Etsy shop. And right now she has 54 sales, and that's over 2 months, which for a new seller, a lot of new sellers don't get that much traction in the very beginning. So you figured out how to leverage social media and some other things to build buzz and get your sales up. Can we talk about that now?
Yes, I would love to.
Okay.
So, yeah. Social media has definitely been a big part of my relaunch and just the focus in that. And I generally try to post to social media at least 3 times a day. And I post about different things. I try to post, a varying of topics, but, lately it's been a lot about my artwork. I'll post things about my studio. I'll post different pieces, just share what's going on in the shop. And that's definitely drawn a lot of eyes and just gotten people interested in going to my Etsy shop and pointing it back to that. And so I really try to interact with people on social media, and it's definitely been a huge help in relaunching my Etsy shop.
So what would be a typical, so you're doing this 3 times a day on Facebook and Instagram each, or 3 times between the two?
Generally, what I'll do is I'll post to Instagram first, and then I will, link it through Facebook. There'll be some times where I post only to Facebook or only to Instagram, but generally, I'll post to Instagram and you can click that little thing where it shares it on Facebook as well. So I'll do that just so that it goes to both, and that's definitely, I've seen success through that. So.
Okay. And so what's a typical post that you would share?
Well, I'll share different pieces that I'm working on, for one. And if I'm leading up to a launch, when I first launched my shop, or the last one that I did was my gold series, I'll post different, little sneak peeks into that so people get an idea of what I'm working on. I'll post about, also, I'm passionate about my marriage. So I'll post about, my time with Zach and different things that we're doing. I'll post about, just a lot of different topics, just so that people get to know me, and my art is also tied into that. And so, they know my heart in that as well. Yeah. So I'll just share about that and kind of what I'm doing. I never try to do anything super salesy, I just don't like doing that. So I will post giveaways though. I do love giveaways. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. So the giveaways, do you do giveaways on both Facebook and Instagram?
When I was relaunching my shop, it was through both. And what I did was, that's how I started building my email list. That's also been another part of, doing a relaunch, is building an email list so I can keep in contact with people that want to know about what I'm doing. So when I did that, I just had people enter their email address for the giveaway. And I did that one twice. I did that for the relaunch and then for the gold series. And I'm currently doing one. It closes on Sunday, but it's a giveaway. It's a loop giveaway. Someone contacted me about doing a loop giveaway for a wedding sort of thing. And so I decided to do that. And so that one's just on Instagram. But yeah.
So people will put in their email address to enter the giveaway. Then you take that and you collect them, and then you send them information via email about other things that you have going on.
As long as they want to, and I inform them, I never spam people. It's okay. I send out something once, maybe a week, or once every 2 weeks. So, and they know that. And I say, if you don't want to receive that, it's fine. You can unsubscribe, because I use MailChimp. So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. One, do they know? And two, can they unsubscribe if they don't want to?
Yep.
Okay. And then do you also do the same thing on Facebook? Gather emails that way too?
Yeah.
Okay. Then.
Yep. And just, when I was relaunching the shop, I just let people know, I was like,
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I let people, know that this was the way I was going to keep them informed of what was coming, and, if there are any just different events coming up or sneak peeks and stuff, that they would be able to have access to that through the email. So, yeah.
Okay. Do you use a lot of hashtags on either?
Instagram, yes. Facebook, I actually don't use any hashtags on there. But Instagram, I do. What I do is I post them in the second comment. And that's something that I've learned through other personal development, just other people that, talk about growing your own business and using social media for it, is I don't post any hashtags in my original post, but I comment the hashtags below it. So, and I think it's 30 hashtags per thing. So I try to use all of it. I have it saved to my phone so that I can just copy and paste it into there. That way, people can find it through that hashtag.
Yeah. Yeah. I recently learned that as well, about putting them in the comments as opposed to the original post. I don't know why that is. I don't know what the science or the theory behind it is. I mean, I do it because they said just do it that way. But I'm just curious why.
I think for me, I'm just it just looks cleaner, instead of having to scroll through and seeing a bunch of hashtags right there. That way it's on there, but you don't always have to see it right away. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I don't know if there's any other science behind it. There might be, but that's just what I do.
All right. Now, and you also blog. You also have a website where you host a blog.
I do.
How do you use that?
Well, I haven't actually been posting lately. I need to jump back on that, but with everything that's been going on, I've just been so busy. So blogging has kind of fell to the wayside, but when I was launching, I just kind of let people know about it through there. And in the future, I would love to use it just to let people know about what I'm doing, just give people kind of a behind the scenes look at my process, share tutorials, because I love doing little projects and little crafts. And I know, especially people in my niche, in my target market, they love doing DIY things. So I would love to be able to share that with other people and use my blog as a way to do that.
Okay. All right. What tips can you share with people for growing their presence on social media? What do you think the best thing, without being gimmicky or, you know how sometimes you can do, What suggestions do you have?
The biggest thing is consistency, honestly. Just even if it's just once a day, just putting something out there so that you have eyes on you, and people will start to see, oh, okay, they're posting this. Oh, I wonder what they're going to post today. Just consistency really has been so important. And before, the first time I put stuff in my Etsy shop, there was no consistency whatsoever. It was just kind of it's in there. What's gonna happen now? I don't know. So, but now it's consistent effort put into social media and into into my business, and that has definitely paid off. So whether it's 1 post a day or 3 posts a day, like I try to post once in the morning, once in the afternoon, and once in the evening. And it doesn't happen all the time. There's days where, my husband and I will go out on a date for the day and I just don't get around to it, and that's fine. But, just overall, just trying to be consistent is big. And then also just connecting with people. Yeah. Personally, I think that really is a really good tip for that, just because there's so much noise in social media that sometimes you don't even make a personal connection. But when you do, it really means a lot. And so if people comment on, my Instagram or Facebook, I always try to reply. Yeah. And I think that makes a big effort, and to keep the conversation going too, because that also helps get more eyes on you, especially like Facebook, where it's like people see your things based on how much things are liked or commented on. Some people don't even see. So it's hard if you don't have any interaction on there. But I think one other thing would be to invite people into a conversation in your comments on the social media. Like if you're like, for me, for instance, I'm trying to think of what I posted today. This morning I posted just a picture of my water, because I was like, I'm thankful for ice water this morning after work. It's hot. And let's just like, what are you thankful for today? Even if no one responds, just putting that out there and trying to engage people. Yeah. And whether or not they respond is fine, but just putting that out there and asking for that engagement, I think is key.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've noticed that some days some people are in a talking mood, and some days nobody wants to say anything. So sometimes I'll say something and then, people will respond. And other times it's like, I don't feel like talking, but thank you. Yeah. You just, just keep on moving.
Yes. And I think it's important to remember too, to not give up, even if you don't see people. If people aren't liking or commenting, like just being consistent really makes a difference, because whether or not people comment, whether or not they like, people still can see it, and it still is planting a seed, and it's getting your name out there. So I think it's just important to be consistent and keep going.
Do you have any tools that you use for social media, or you do everything organically by hand?
I'm trying to think. Mostly any tools that I use for like Instagram or Facebook would be like photo editing stuff. Yeah. And my 2 favorites would be Photofy and
how do you spell that?
Photofy. Okay. And that you can like overlay text and they call them stickers, but like little pictures. Okay. And all that kind of stuff. And that's a really fun one. And then there's also Studio, which it's just Studio app, and that's also another one where you can add in text and different pictures and stuff on there too. And I really like that one a lot.
Okay. Have you ever tried Facebook ads?
I have not. Okay. I have not. Just it's Facebook. For me, it's like, since this whole thing has happened where it's like only a very small percentage of people might see your post.
Yeah, very small.
Yeah, it's for me, I'm just like, well, I'll just see if I need to in the future. I can look at it, but I just haven't yet so far. So
yeah, I know some people get good results. I think you have to be very deliberate and very calculated, not in a bad way, but like I think there's a science to Facebook ads, which I have not figured out, and there's not enough time in the day.
No, I know. That's like for me, I'm just like, I have these things and I'm just focusing on them right now, and I'll master those, then maybe move on. But right now I just...
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up. So what are your priorities as a new seller? How did you set them, and what's topmost for you? Then what's next after you achieve that? And then after that?
The biggest priority for me is my customers, for sure. Like, customer service is a huge part of my brand, and just me as a person. Like, I love interacting with the people that buy. Like, when somebody purchases something for me, I like to send them a personal message. Like, it sends the automatic thing, but then I like to send them a personal message being like, hey, thank you for this. And I really can't wait for you to get this piece, and letting them know when I should be able to mail it off to them. And then I also update it again after I ship with the personal message. And when they receive their piece, there's also a personal thank you note in there too. So for me, it's all about connecting with people. And so that's definitely my top priority. And then after that, I would say just connecting with people on social media and being consistent on that. That has been a big one. And it's just, I know that has been a huge impact on the difference of when I first started the Etsy shop and then to now. So that's also a priority. But, and then also just, of course, putting quality work out there is a big thing. Yeah. And then photos. I think that would be the other top priority, photos. Yeah. Because the first time I opened my shop, they were just horrible. There was no lighting. It was awful. And so just trying to hone in on those skills myself now as I, take my own photographs and edit them and make sure that they're presentable and clean.
Yeah. And one of the things we talked about earlier, well, before we started recording, because I was looking through Sarah's Etsy shop, is the packaging. When you send something to a buyer, you don't just put it in, the shipping packaging. You basically send them a gift, a gift wrapped item for each and every seller. Yes.
I love packaging. And I know I was telling you if I could have an unlimited budget, it would be crazy. But yeah, no, I like to, it's simple, but I think it also means a lot. I love using baker's twine. I use white tissue paper. I find fun little stickers. And then, I love craft paper. So that's another, I think those are like white tissue paper, baker's twine, and craft paper, like my biggest things. And so I try to incorporate that. And I have a little fun little message on a little card that I put in there for people too. So it's fun. It's so fun to get snail mail and things in the mail. Yeah. So the more fun I can make it for people, the better.
Oh, nice. And do you have people who, when they get the package, they send you a message?
Yeah.
Just because of the response?
Yes, I have actually. One of, a girl that I actually know from high school, she ordered some cards for me and she left a review and was like, I want to get mail from you all the time because it's just so pretty. So it's stuff like that just brings such joy to my heart because I love to do it and I love to be able to brighten people's day through that. That's really what it's all about. I love being able to share my heart through what I do, and I think that shows when I can send something that's carefully thought out and, put together for someone else.
Yeah. Now, okay, so you have this book of ideas for projects that you want to get done. Mm-hmm. Typically, how long does it take you to get from when you get the idea and put it down in the book to actually having it up for sale in your Etsy shop? What's the lifespan of a product?
It just depends because, like, for me right now, I've planned out through the holidays, like, what I want to launch every single month. So it's like, I have different things, different ideas that I've thought up before that I'm like, okay, well, this would work for, like, for mugs, like, that's what I'm going to launch them in October because it's like, it's fall, it's the perfect time for them, so just taking that into consideration. Of course, Christmas stuff like Christmas tags and cards and things will be coming out, towards Thanksgiving time. But so it just depends on what it is specifically. And, I wouldn't launch like a Christmas thing in like April. So,
right.
I just get ideas and I try to kind of fit it into, what season it is. But if it's something that I need to, kind of work on what it's going to look like, I'll draft up different pieces and have that kind of in a journal, ready to go for when that time comes. So, and right now I'm trying to work like a month ahead to get things ready. So for things that you want to launch next month, you're working on them this month. Is that what you mean? Oh, okay. Yep.
Okay. What, roughly what percentage would you say of your orders are custom orders where it's something that someone you don't have in your shop, but someone has an idea of something they want you to make for them?
That's a good question. Maybe 25%.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, like, I'll have people who they see something in my shop and they'll be like, oh, well, can I have this piece, but can you do it this way? Like, I had someone order a piece that I had done vertically, but she wanted it for a horizontal frame. So I was like, sure, I can do that. So,
okay.
Just little things like people will say, or can you add this in, and so on and so forth. So, yeah.
Okay. Nice. Good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Sarah, there's a new seller who's listening to our conversation now. What's the most important thing you want them to take away? What advice would you have for that new seller?
Don't give up. No matter whether you get a sale in the first, week, month, 3 months or not, just if it's something that you're passionate about, stick with it and really try to connect with people and really trying to put out, especially if you're using social media, use it as an outlet to really build up your brand and your business. Like, let people know what you're doing. And, in a non-salesy way, but you can show people, kind of the pieces that you're creating, how you make it, invite them into the process and say, hey, if you like this, check this out. And, the biggest thing I would think is just never give up, just to keep being consistent to just putting in that daily effort, because there are times like if you don't, you can just be like, well, I don't feel like working on it today. And then that can grow into a week and that can go into a month. But the more you're consistent with it, the easier it is to continue going in that. So
yeah, that's so true. Consistency keeps you motivated or driven.
It does.
And then you shared 2 resources that you use with your social media. Do you have any other resources that you're really enjoying now? Maybe not necessarily for social media, but just in general that you want to share?
I don't know if this counts as a resource, but the Etsy teams, that has been
that's a resource.
That's been a big help to me. And I'd heard about teams vaguely, and then I had listened to one of your podcasts from before that had talked about teams. And then I also found one of your podcasts that had Norga on there, the North Georgia Etsy team. And I'm in North Georgia.
Are you?
So I'm actually on that team now. So it was just like, it was such a blessing. And then it's gone on from there. Where I've gotten to connect with some other teams, and that's just been a huge help, just learning from other people and connecting with other artists and Etsy sellers, and just getting more eyes on things and just helping other people build their businesses too. I think is just such a sweet thing. So that's been a big resource for me.
Oh, great! So now you're my 3rd Norga podcast guest. Yes. Okay. And what's the best way people can reach you, Sarah, if they want to get in touch with you and learn more about what you're doing?
Social media, like Facebook is a great way. Etsy Conversations. I have the Etsy app, so it comes up on my phone. Any email, any of that is good. So
okay. I will have links to every way you can get in touch with Sarah. I promise. Email, Etsy shop, all her social media accounts. So if you go to convome.com and look for Sarah Cason Designs, everything will be in there. Please feel free to reach out to Sarah. Check out her Etsy shop. Again, it's Sarah Cason Designs. And Sarah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and for sharing everything that you did. I really enjoyed talking to you, and thank you for being my guest.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It was such a blessing.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you for listening. I will be back next week.
Thank you for listening. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, and while you're there, please leave a review too. Visit convome.com to leave a comment or feedback on this episode.